Today I'm going to discuss manipulation of intent or misinterpretation, the inalienable rights, based upon the Cornell law basis of in the omega. Omega being the actual opposite of the alpha, therefore the gray area to interpret anything depending on the intent, and the infallibility based upon the identity theft therefore alleviates criminal intent and criminal psychology. So if you think about it in a bookie's perspective, there was a book called The Man Who Bets on Everything. And my kidnappers, and you do understand the whole bubble boy scenario. The bubble boy comes from this kid when I was 6 years old who was me, named TL. And I uninvited him from a birthday party and invited a girl named Shannon. That's where we get into the whole Shannon. See, I was forced to pay. I mean, basically what's happened is there's factions trying to usurp my birthrights and trying to deem it as free energy. You know, they want it's in the name of, in the lieu of. And so they took anything I did my entire life, and there are key parts of my life that have been misinterpreted that I paid extreme about. So at 6 years old, I was driving a $1 billion, I mean, multiple $1 billion mistake. A 6-year-old was driving a multiple $1 billion. That's the sort of reality of this. And that's also the mob figures out ways to utilize it. So TL, then you got into Todd Lubitsch. That was the bubble boy scenario of John Travolta. But then you get into the ET thing. And that's kind of where I think I get into the alienation. ET, the TL, and that's my interpretation of it. As far as they're going to take it to the next level, you know, the hardcore, hardballers, you know. I think that's where you also get into the South Park. The South Park thing is based upon all this kids' interpretation of such an important life. But what the mob decided to do was we're just going to kill this kid and give him all the room he wants. A free-range kidnapped hostage. It's a free-range rope to hang yourself. That's basically what I was given. I was basically like I said, given a lot of rope to hang myself and just keep going and keep going and they're collecting chips. And so when you get into this, it's like the bookie interpretation. Later on, one way to justify seizing assets is to misinterpret the old bookie symbols. You know, it's like symbols of a bookie. You know, or Mickey Blue Eyes is another one. That goes way back. Mickey Blue Eyes and the auction symbols or whatever. But I can't ever touch anything. I'm not allowed. I'm Mike TV. You know, I'm not allowed to touch anything. The untouchable, can't touch dirty money because he's too dirty. Or this is all speculative criminal psychology on my part. I am doing a paper on criminal psychology interpretation of intent, of actions predicated through my life. So you got these desperate bookie interpretations of wager on everything in order to seize control of everything and to relegate. That's one way to justify. You bet your life, Groucho Marx. Well, they bet my life by the free range. They hid the truth. If you would have told the kid, well, you're worth $1 billion, and giving me competent counsel steering me. But no, I was driving from 6 years old, billions and billions of dollars that could kill my entire family, and that's basically what it is. The mob let a 6-year-old drive a billion-dollar vehicle that murdered his entire family. That's the interpretation. And then it gets into the omega interpretation of anything. The gray errors of speculation interpretation. it gives the mob the right to justify control aspects of however they want to interpret things in order to seize control or transfer control. It's all about eroding control from the free-range kidnapped hostage and or transfer it into other bribes. You know, you're transferring control, power, influence, peddling influence. They're selling influence. It's like basically, it's kind of when the mob used to sell protection. Well, what they're doing is they're selling the mob. The mob is now basically selling energy as influence in that aspect. And revenge is huge. You know, it's all about vanity because I'm the cosmetic beautician. They just beat me for anything. So revenge upon anything that ever happens to the key sector is put upon my Neiman Marcus cosmetic ass. And so the revenge is a key. Vanity and wrath. It's all about the wrath and the gluttony and the greed, you know, because they got to lock me out. I'm basically stuck dog paddling in the middle of the ocean forever. I mean, there's boats right there. They're having a party, but they won't let me in because they need me as the cosmetic vanity, the wrath, you know. But I'm not allowed to get out of into. See, I can't be around key competent assets. That's why I'm an untouchable. They got to keep me segregated because they got to keep control of the assets. Because if my case gets opened up, anybody starts poking around and they discover the truth, then they lose control of the assets. And that's what this is all about. And assets are people. People are worth controlling assets. People are resources. People are assets. So they got to keep control of the assets so that until they just completely desecrate me to where I'm useless, so I can't gain back control of the assets. That's one of the reasons for the free-range kidnapped hostage and the massive desecration is so those that have taken control of my assets, I can't get it back from them. That's the Gulliver's Travel, atrophy, malnutrition through parasite extraction. So it's the Omega-initiated untouchable. I'm reverent, buying bribes all over the world to the oppressed peoples while they get to beat the hell out of me and torture me for fun and sport and get paid for it. Now that's smart. Now that's some smart organized crime criminal psychology. The kids today, that's kind of why we've gotten into the vanity, the idle, the new and improved. And that's kind of why it was wait and wait and wait and beat down and beat down. They finally wanted me to play this game. Kids today aren't very bright, I will be quite honest with you. They don't recognize the potential. I mean, I am literally a billion-dollar cottage industry. I've got tons and tons of synchronicity evidence if you put it together and package it. And with modern technology, it's really, really easy to launch into. But I'm literally doing this. My entire net worth is about $175 right now. I have no friends. I have no family. I have nothing. I have a computer which I've been threatened with that I'm on the verge of getting cut off any time and taken away. Um, that's the whole bait, the trading places. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Brainwash, motherlode spike. You know that it's all about perception being the rule. So I'm the puppet howdy doody inside and the use of inside trade. The problem is the inside traders got greedy and they got stupid. Another reason for the hands off is they're trying to dirty up the whole family so they can swallow this whole. You know, they think they can shrink the whole estate and then come in and swoop in and swallow the whole like a largemouth bass. Or you know that's one of the reasons that I've been alienated and forced because I'm necessary to keep alive because they don't want to transfer out. I mean, the there is definitely a big industry built upon in time, and that's kind of why they have to go strong into my cousins. my cousins, and we're talking about handlers. We're talking about steerers or handlers because we don't control anything. We're just howdy-doody mafia puppets. You know, we're pulled by strings. And some people have bigger leashes than others. The less propensity you have to try to elevate or escape, the more free-range chicken you are, you know? So you're more of a free-range chicken if you're not trying to escape. And so that's kind of why I tried to escape. So I'm on a literal J.C. Penney, beat the hell down into the Silence of the Lamb, kidnapped hole. You know, I'm on a real short leash. That's why I have no control over no assets or nothing. That's why my conservators are basically controlling. Yeah, but the kids really aren't very bright because they don't understand. I mean, their parents are degenerate gambler, junkie, druggies. And the pharmaceuticals, in my estimation, are causing a lot more damage. And food, the supersized pharmaceuticals power is causing a lot of long-term structural damage. I mean, that's kind of why the U.S. economy has to grow so big. But the animosity backlash is going to be horrific in another 10 to 20 years, in my estimation. So the kids really aren't very bright. They didn't show any initiative to try to solve the problem because my agenda has been a global enlightenment, a renaissance, you know, to try to solve some of the problems using logic and responsible leadership. Whether it's, you know, burn, 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 pedal to the metal, floor it, Bubba, you know, and that's basically what's going on. Faster and harder, hacking everything. It's all a crapshoot right now. I mean, they're rolling the bone. They are addicted to rolling me as the bones because I am literally skin and bones. And there's massive fat expansion, and there's really no control mechanism of any sort in place. And so it's just time, and you got a lot of different angles. It goes back to they wanted the Mouseketeer and the Prince Charming thing. I could have been turned into a Prince Charming, but I think since the TL and a few other things, I got screwed. So then they decided we're gonna passion fruit lynch mob Prince Charming in order to make the idols look good. And so that's when I started getting screwed. That's when you got into the heavy defense. That's why I never had friends. You know, I was always relegated to alien status, the ET alienated status, and nobody ever came to pick me up and rescue me. So I was, you know, in these games. And they always kept, I mean, I was kept on a certain plateau, never getting much bigger than a Smurf. You know, I was always shrunk down. That's been the constant of it. Is they want to shrink me down like a strangled, emaciated Smurf because they're afraid, I think, because they decided to screw it. And so it goes into alienation, and it was desecration of the foundations of, and it goes back to the Walt Disney World Magic Kingdom. So they used magic wizardry to screw Prince Charming, basically, in order to elevate other factions around me utilizing the energy. So it was constant heavy-duty Orange Crush defense and just hammer down, beat down, and I'm still paying for childhood. Anything that happens, I am still getting the shit kicked out of me because they're trying to use scare. It's scare time. They're scared. I can tell if I escape, and so they're gonna try to say, pull the whole John F. Kennedy, we'll blow your fucking brains out, John Lennon. You know, the mob is trying to use scare tactics to try to keep other people from doing it. They want to keep me alienated on my castaway forest gumbo chopped down okra tree, you know, because they have already spent the money. They already robbed the bank and they already spent the money. They already cashed a check, so ain't no giving it back because they laundered the stolen estate. So now they got to just decimate and desecrate, and now they got to try to use scare tactics and get, like, You know, get real big and scare everybody off. So that's why the extreme sort of wizard torture of Prince Charming, not to, but they don't understand that the repercussions globally, they're inciting revolution all around the world. So they're burning their bridges to the United Kingdom. They're burning their bridges all over, but they don't care. They're more worried about killing my family and laundering the money from when they murdered my family and robbed the bank than they are about burning the bridges. They're trying to build them some walls because an Alamo, because they know they screwed up, and well, they wanted a lynching. I mean, lynching, you know, they should have learned the lessons. It was a lynch mob, and it was a bank robbery. It was fancy, but it was a lynch mob bank robbery, and they hid it in a lot of different ways. And now it's just desperation, holding on for dear life, hammer me down at any cost to keep all. I mean, they bribe anyone, and they sold their soul, sold their ideals. They'll bribe anyone, but they won't let Prince Charming go because they're afraid of a global reciprocation sort of backlash. So they're desperate to keep the mob in control. That's kind of why they're starting to transfer all the power off to different sources and different sides.